Du-du-du. Hello, hello, hello. Hello Leo, how are you? Hope you're well. Hopefully you can hear me. There you go. Guns at the moment. So I'm employed in the UK and I engrave shotguns and rifles. I don't really make videos anymore, unfortunately. Just don't have the time. Don't have the time anymore. It's a shame. Don't have the equipment with me anymore. Good. I do miss making the videos, it's good fun. But unfortunately I moved house, got a job, and there's not enough room where I am currently to do anything like that anymore. So I thought streams were the second best thing I could do, because I can answer anyone's questions, and it's probably the best way people can learn, to be honest. It's just by asking stuff. Engraving is just basically doing and getting better. There's only so much you can provide over a video that you can really learn. So the best thing is probably just to nag me about stuff I know, and if you have any queries about anything, I am more than happy to help. I used to draw with a tablet. It's quite difficult. Transfers. I think it's still, to be honest, it's hard to tell anymore, because professionally I do use it. If you've looked at my channel, the acetone one with the acetate, the plastic, with the kind of the sticky solution with the violin rosin. I do still use that in like a professional environment, and it's still I think probably one of the best ways of transferring stuff. But in the professional world, I don't tend to use it as much, because a lot of work is symmetry. So a lot of your stuff you'll do, say if this is your gun, bottom of your action or whatever, you can, a lot of the stuff you're doing this, whatever, you're doing all this fancy stuff, and you can tend to imagine that's the bottom of your action of a shotgun, okay? You'll tend to do all this first, so you'll sketch all this out by hand. You'll rarely ever use transfer methods for stuff like this. You'll just have to hand sketch using your plasticine and pencil. So you'll just draw it on, until you've got what you need, backbone lines, cut all this, and then obviously you can transfer this across once you've got your moving everywhere. What's going on? Pen, give me pen. What's going on? Sorry. So you do all this, and basically you transfer across. And what we tend to do is, like transparency film, the same stuff I use in those videos for transferring with like acetone and the sticky stuff. I just do, like, say if you've done this one side, take your plastic printer acetate, whatever you've got, okay, your see-through printer film, lay it over this side, and I just scribe it. So you scribe your lines. So you'll basically just use a scribe and go over your lines with your acetate over the top of your work. So you've got like you're basically scratching onto the acetate. So you're making a copy of this side on the acetate. Copy it on. Keep doing all this. You might even do just bit by bit. So you might do this bit first, do this, and then obviously you've got that one side. So you then flip it over. No, sorry. Once you've scribed it on, you take pencil lead, and then you sand the pencil lead to the graphite onto top of the plastic film. So and then you fill the grooves that you've made with the scribe. So you fill the grooves, okay, that you've done onto the acetate, and you just smear it with your finger into the lines on the acetate. And then once you've done that, you can then flip it over. So you plasticine this side, plasticine your other side that you want to transfer onto. Then basically flip your plastic over, lay it on this side, fix it down with a bit of sellotape or something, or whatever you've got, and then just burnish it. So you flip it over, burnish it on, and it will leave you a really nice line that you can follow. And then you basically just go across this again, you scribe and lay it out, and make a permanent scribe on it. But for example, if you weren't doing this, if you weren't doing what I do, and you were just doing, say if you were just transferring onto a plate or anything that's kind of flat, straightforward, a disc or something, then you could use the the tacky solution I use with the printer and just transfer your designs. It's limited to its detail. It has its purpose, sure, but drawing is just a must. Being able to just sketch stuff, simple sketching is basically just what you need to be able to do to make life easier. But as best I explained, with once you've done one side of something, you like it, it's very easy to transfer it over to the other side using that method with scribing onto the plastic and just sanding a bit of graphite pencil into the grooves, flipping it over, so you've got symmetry, which is a good way of transferring. But obviously, if you want to do the whole thing, like you might be thinking, then yeah, the printer method's good, but it's only good for certain scenarios. For example, on flat things or slight curves. It gets tricky once you want to transfer anything at past that, because you're laying your acetate on and you've got to bend it around the surface, fix it on so it's holding the right place, so it's not moving, and then burnishing it onto your surface to leave your pattern on your metal. So it has its place, but it depends what you're trying to do. I know some people use laser now. I was speaking to a guy the other day who uses laser. He'll laser his pattern onto the metal. And then scribe over the laser. Which is smart. It's quicker. But obviously, again, it has its place. can't draw with this at all. It's horrible. So what do you mean by that? What do you mean, like scaling it to your work? Yeah, it's tricky. I remember when I first ever did my first ever engraving on a firearm. I did basically a cover plate for a bolt action, and I was terrified of drawing. I couldn't. I still to this day sometimes I don't think I can draw very well, and I did my transfer method with the acetate and the printer, the sticky stuff or whatever you want to call it, and obviously I had to draw. So I had to draw this design out on my iPad, and then scale it down, scale it to this cover plate, which is probably only 6 inches tall. But I did probably quite a few attempts. I mean, multiple attempts of scaling this. I picture down from my iPad, printing it out, checking it against the cover plate, not right. Going back to my drawing, scaling it down more, printing it out, doing it again, until eventually you get something that you like. There's no easy way of doing stuff like that. It's just not. You can't. There's no quick method, unfortunately. It's just if you've got the dimensions of what you're working with, and you've got say a drawing that's scaled to whatever you're doing, it's all pre-done, and you just got basically draw it on, print it out, and there you have it. It's perfect size, but it's in the real world that it just doesn't work. Especially if you're just doing it on a small scale. Not like you're working at a huge level, business level, where some of this stuff's probably already sorted out for you, and you can just draw and print as well. Things like that you don't have to worry about. But yeah, it's just trial and error, unfortunately. Some tools are quite good, like some of the apps on your iPad and stuff. You can use measuring tools, so you can measure. You can change the settings on say some of the apps I use with like the designer apps on the iPad that use the vector stuff. You can use measuring tools, so you can scale your canvas in millimeters instead of pixels or whatever. So scale it in millimeters, and then there's measuring tools on those apps, so you can measure the height of things. If you know what the size is in real world, take that measurement, go into your app, go 40 mil this high, 30 mil wide, and just set your boundaries and draw within the scale, which is a good way of at least giving you a decent idea of where you should be, and then you can work off that then. Apologies for my terrible drawing on it. I'm drawing with one of those little hand tablets. I never really draw on computers. Should we draw? Smoothness is too smooth. Graver angles. 96. I used the Steve Lindsay ones. It's just, honestly, don't think about gravers too much. I know you probably heard it a million times, but don't think about gravers too much. Don't talk about gravers too much. But honestly, don't. In the real world, I use about 4 tools. I use a 96, or you could use a 90, it doesn't matter. And then, what else do I use? Flat graver for like background removal, and a brass punch for inlay, undercutting tool, which is basically just like a Phillips head screwdriver, which I just make with like a, so imagine your graver, oh, like this, yes, oh god, square blank, oh, smoothness, square blank, and I basically just round it off. I'll use like a round template. If you use templates, this is fine. If you're using a round blank, you wouldn't have to worry about this as much, but I just use a round template to taper this end in, and then I just zoom in. I square the tip off. So basically, you've got like a just take the smoothness down, isn't it? So you've basically got like a flathead. Imagine like a flathead screwdriver, but really small. So this is rounded, like a pencil, but like a flathead screwdriver at the top. So basically, that's just used for undercutting. So you imagine you cut like this. Basically, the tool comes in. Imagine that's like a flathead screwdriver, and then you're just knocking out. You know, it's used for that. It's used for just knocking the cut out on your line, so you can wedge your gold in. So then your gold goes in, boom, bang it in, goes into the holes, nice. So I use that. So I use a brass punch. Oh, sorry, that's for the undercutting. Then I use a brass punch, which is just like a round. Bit of copper or brass, either one. Copper's probably better. Bit of copper goes into your Graver Max, and then I use that for my inlay. Just use that to wax the fit. So I use that. So I use a 96 copper blank, blank kind of bit of rod goes into the Graver Max for inlay. Undercutting tool, like a little pencil flat-headed screwdriver, just to knock in these little cuts here. A flat graver for background. You've probably seen them before. They're just like a yeah. It's just like a. Imagine this is the front of the graver, and then this is like your flathead cutting angle. So your graver's like that, and obviously this is your face. And it's that's cutting nice big. Flats, basically, cutting flats. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Occasionally, if I'm doing like background removal and I'm flat, occasionally, in the professional world, you don't usually do this, you don't often do it, but you flatten your background. So you say if you've removed your background, you'll come in and say your background's all lumpy or whatever, after doing the flat, you come in with like a steel punch, which is basically just another flat steel, rod. Then I'll just shape it down to a real small point, with a flat tip, just to flatten the background, so you flat out, boom, boom, boom. Get rid of any like sort of dodgy lines or whatever. So when you come to like stipple it, it's a bit nicer. But yeah, that's about it. But for general line work, just a 96. 96 does 98% of every work I do. I don't use 120s. I know people like using 120s for whatever reason, for like shading, but it's completely unnecessary. Because to be honest, 120s you're cutting too wide, not deep enough. So a lot of these cases, especially in the gun trade, guns get finished. So when guns get finished, they get sanded and blasted a million times. Those thin lines you're doing with a 120 are so narrow, so fine, and they just disappear. So you're cutting lines that are like this instead of this. This lasts longer than that. And shading, I find, makes no difference. If you're using like a different template system, if you're using like a what they call the Apex system, same thing goes. I like a pointy engraver because it lasts longer. It's just nicer. Yeah, so don't get caught up in engravers. You can do all engraving. You could do literally all engraving with literally with a 96. If you were doing inlay or anything, you could do background removal with a normal V graver. You can do everything with a V graver. And 96 might go. Yeah, the 160 is a universal one. I think it's the universal. I use the universal Ninja template for a long time. Occasionally, I'll pick it up. Occasionally, but the 96, yeah, it's solid. Practice plates for gun engraving. So basically, when you train to do gun engraving, for example, you get given. This isn't the best way in life. You're practicing on your own at home, unless you've got the equipment to do so, because it's not the best way to do it, because you just don't. Most people don't have the tools to do what I'm going to show you. But I need me to draw it, to be honest, but I'll rub this out anyway. So when you're learning, rub. When you're learning, you basically get a block. You'll get a block of steel. So you get a block of steel. Perfect drawing skills. You get a block of steel that's like this, for example, and you draw. Basically, you draw lock plates onto stuff like this. You'll draw, side plates for your shotgun, for example, or whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter what it is. You could do anything. You could do pins. You could do grip caps. You name it. It doesn't even have to be any of this gunny stuff. It could be maybe your design. You do it onto this. Practice, and then basically it goes down, and you can machinists take off the top layer. So once you've done that, cut it off, bang. No, basically you keep going until you've got nothing left, basically, of this block. But obviously, most people don't have the tools to take, a mil off a 3-inch block of steel. So the best way, if you're just working from home or whatever, is just what I used to do at home, just plates. So whatever you did, two by twos, so yeah, 2-inch by 2-inch plates, or whatever you use. Your little thin plates that are like this. It's fine. Just use those. They're easy. They're cheap. Much easier. I know the problem I have with them is that a lot of these little plates, if you leave them around too long, unless you don't keep them oiled or anything, they do rust. I find cleaning them up can be a bit of a bugger if they do get rusty. But yeah, probably plates. And if you have the ability to if you want to learn like curved stuff, so if you obviously on guns you've got a lot of angles, a lot of curved, weird angles that you'll hate to do on. For example, if you had, what's the best way to explain this? Obviously, you have certain angles that are like, your rounded angles like this. You're trying to engrave something on like a semi-dome, basically, like a dome. Yeah, that's perfect. Like if you can get cut-offs at end, that's the best way to do it. Then you can just polish your plates up and go ahead, whatever you want to do. If you want to practice on curved stuff, see if you can get your hands on. Obviously, you're in America, so it's probably easier. But old gun parts. You can probably buy, I don't know where you get stuff like that, but online, just any old round, stuff like that, any round curved stuff. It's weird. I'm trying to think, is like an easy way of practicing. Like you could practice on like a bit of round, steel rod to burn. Obviously, that's quite an exaggerated curve. It's quite an angle to work on. But yeah, I would definitely learn. Or pins is a very good way as well. Pins for guns are a very good way to practice engraving in general as well. I know plates are good, but if you want to practice, a lot of stuff is like really small. Yeah, you could, just larger pipe, that'll work. If you want to practice really small stuff, just practice on like pins. If you can find nice, a large headed flat screw, I don't know what you call them, practicing on top of pins. This is probably one of the best ways to learn contrast in your engraving, scale, shading, line work, borders. This probably taught me 70% of what I know today doing pins, because they contain a lot of they hold a lot of different scenarios of engraving, and you can just learn a lot from doing it. Let's just say, because you can get different pins as well. So pins can look like this, where you actually the head of the pin is doing that, and you've got to engrave on the inside of it. So then you're engraving a curved surface on a small scale on a pin, and doing the same pattern you might do on a flat-headed pin, but on a curved-headed pin. So you're learning two different skills. But pins, if you can get your hand on of course you can, but get your hand on pins, screws, or whatever you want to call them. Great way of practicing engraving. Real teaching, especially to do like floral heads. So if you're doing like so a lot of pins look like this. So you'll have like a pin, the center, basically like this. You do that. You have, this is just about describing it. You have a border, so you mark your border out on the pin. Then you have all these put your things in, your flower, do all this. You might even be smaller than this, more petals, you might do that. You've got more angles in here. And then you've got all these little things in here to mark the flower, and shading, and you know, and it take that, you learn a lot from doing. Really a lot. Sorry for I can't draw it. I can't draw with this at all. Yeah, just get your hands on everything, anything at all. Just vary your work, vary your scale of your work. I'd say is important. Try not to stick with anything too big all the time, because when you're working with like big stuff, it makes things a lot easier. So try and like challenge yourself. Try and make things smaller, change the shape. The big thing in like the engraving world is like contrast. So like understanding what you're looking at is the contrast right? You know, is your shading deep enough? Because when it comes to professional work, you know, it needs to last. You know, because if it gets hit with a bit of sandpaper, let me tell you, it's happened before. If you hit something with a bit of sandpaper in a file, it'll disappear. And all your work that you've beautifully done gets eradicated in one quick foul swoop. So you're better off leaning to the side of heavier work than lighter work, I always say. The lid's so terrible. I think it's weird drawing on this tablet because you're not like drawing directly onto a screen, you're drawing like here onto the monitor, which makes it really awkward. It's like I'm drawing here, but it's appearing over there. And doesn't quite translate in my brain very well. That's my best attempt so far at trying to draw something like it. What's this brush do? I think this is software as well. It looks like a spray brush. I don't know what I'm doing. Canvas is probably not the easiest thing to. Alright. I would say maybe I probably probably can't. So I'll keep it a secret. But yeah. Anything else you want to ask? I think I'm probably going to be live for another, I don't know, few more minutes. I think 4 people have just appeared on my thing. What the hell? 4 viewers now, for some reason. What did you say? When do I think you can do it professionally? It depends what you want to do. Is there anything you want to do in particular? Are you interested in jewelry? Is it guns? Is it motorbikes? Is it like what do you plan to do with it? Would you say to yourself, it's do you really like it? When I say that, do you like? Can you not stop drawing scrolls? Can you not stop think about? Is it really something you think you want to do? That's what I think I'd say to you. Then I'll give you my opinion on what I think you should do. Personally, okay, just in case you want to know personally, I really enjoyed like the scroll stuff and the gun side of the engraving. So obviously, there's not a lot of people who do engraving in the world, right? There's not a lot of places where you can go, or like employers that will say we need engravers. You don't go on LinkedIn looking for engravers. There's no one on there. You know, there's a lot of self-employed engravers, but in order to even get to that point, you need to have a bit of like a portfolio of work that's similar to what you're, similar to what the people who are selling your sort of work is like. That word is terribly. So, for example, in guns, you need to be able to show an employee of a gun maker, for example, work that is similar to theirs, to a similar standard. Then you can be, potentially be employed by whomever, right? So, and the good thing about it is that these trades are scarce, for example. So you have a high chance of getting work, but you just need to be good enough. That's it. You just need to have a standard. And if you're not good enough, some places, rarely you can get apprenticeships for, that kind of work. But if you're just looking to engrave part-time, on the side while you're working as a job, or maybe you're working full-time, maybe you want to make this full-time, but you're a self-employed engraver who just does things, or you engrave things that people want engraving, like cups or miscellaneous things that they want their name on something, then that's whenever they're willing to pay. You know what I mean? If someone comes to you and you tell someone, "Oh, I know I engrave things," and someone brings you a trophy that wants engraving, you can engrave it. They might go, "Wow, it's really good," or they go, "It's crap," and go, "I want my money back," kind of thing. It can put a dampener on your, how you feel about the whole thing, and you might not want to do it anymore. So, I think the good thing at the start of engraving is comparing yourself. I know they say comparing's bad, but compare your work, and you really have to look closely at your work from a perspective that yours is worse. Always. Yours, you can't be, "Oh, mine's way better than theirs. Mine's way better than theirs." But again, you're the one that's not employed. You're the one that's not selling stuff. You've got to come from that perspective. So, humble yourself a lot. Admire people's work, and get feedback from people. If you want to, send me some of your work, feel free to. I don't know what the best place to even get me hold of me now is. You can. I don't know if you can somehow get a hold of me on YouTube. I don't know. I think my Instagram's linked somewhere. I don't really access that anymore. I don't know, but if you want to message me somewhere, work that I could have a look at, and I'd be more than happy to give you an idea of where I think your ability's at, or whatever. Yeah, so just, or if you know someone who is an engraver, or people that are in the business, get their advice. It's the best way. The only way is to just reach out to people and ask for their advice on it. Because you can say to yourself, "Oh, this is the best work," and then I look back at some of my work that I thought was like peak me, and it's like, no, it's terrible. You have to have some sort of comparison to. Someone's got to tell you it's crap. Basically, someone's got to keep telling you it's crap until they go thumbs up. See what I can do. And if you want to share stuff with me, Leo, feel free to get in touch with me. I don't know what the best way to send me stuff would be. Yeah, if you want to send me stuff, if you feel like that's what you need to do, then try and leave me some sort of contact detail. I don't know. I just need to get a try. I can't remember what my blimmin'. If you message me, because I think there's a link to my Instagram on one of my videos. I think it's, yeah, one of them. It's like the J.R. Franklin one. I'll try and get access to it again. I don't think I've got access to it, but I'm sure I have somewhere. I'll just post you the link to the Instagram. Is that it? I don't know what that is. 2 seconds. I think that's what I can. I haven't used it in about 2 years, maybe longer, 3 years probably. Some pretty old stuff on there. But I'll try and get access to that. I think I've got the password for it. I'll try and find out what it was, and I'll give you some tips or whatever. It's fine. Just make a note of that so I don't forget. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think asking people is the best way to learn. Asking people is the fastest way to learn. So like, even just asking me is a good way of really getting your foot a bit further forward. Because I mean, I learned from just basically doing what you do. You're kind of watching stuff online and engraving in your spare time, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to because I didn't know anyone that did the same thing I wanted to learn. And a lot of people that were really good aren't going to really take you for give you a pinch of salt basically. It's a funny old trade, but I think there's a lot of value in me trying to share what I know. So I'm going to try and do these more often. Hopefully it gets a bit more Yes, that's not what I want. It's so annoying that I forgot my card on that. I appreciate it. It's a lot better now, I would say, but I mean that was how long was that? Quite a while ago, some of that work. I don't even know where it was from. You can see like my really early stuff at the bottom. that was me starting to learn to basically copy some of the English scroll work. But when I look at stuff now, I'm like, but back then, you're like, wow, this is, you're making progress, and you are making progress, and eventually, you just get a lot better. It just takes time. I'll try and find out what my account is for that. So I've just tried to find it then, but I can't seem to know what the email was, but it will be somewhere. I'm sure of it. I do use a microscope, yeah. There's a lot of really good engravers that don't as well, let me tell you. I work with a couple of them, and when you think, I can barely, well, I can engrave without a microscope, but I can't do the level of work detail that I like without it. Let me tell you, there are some people out there with some serious good vision. I've got terrible eyes, but some people have amazing ability. Really talented people. People who can basically they can engrave a barrel of a gun without a microscope, and the lettering's tiny, and they're basically here with nothing, no sort of magnification, hand cutting barrels. It's impressive. The perfect straight lettering on a curve it's something else when you watch people do it. You could, mate. You could. Up to you. But there's a website called like FileBin, which I think you can just basically. I think if you like, just like drop your files into that, and then just like I think it's like a share link. You can just like share it. You just ping it in the chat or something. I'm about to just open it like that. Just for like, just have a quick look on now while we're live. I might better have a look at them quick. Instead of me faffing around trying to sort my Instagram account out. I'll try and see. I work for a company. I used to do commission work. Probably gonna call it in like 5 minutes, so because I've got some things I need to do. But I'll probably be doing these streams maybe twice a week, maybe. I'll just do it. I'll probably post like a little community thing when I'm doing them. But it's just good to keep me on the old YouTube, just so if you want to ask questions, you can. trying to reset my password for my Instagram, but it's just not. It's not happy, I'll tell you that. Doesn't want to resend me a password on my phone, so I don't know what it's doing. Instagram, I hate it, honestly. It's like the worst thing. Nothing's easy, is it? Is there a link you share on that file bin? I think if you post that link on the chat, it should come up. Was it not letting you? I think if you share that link, it should. Let me have a look, but I don't know. It might not. It might be like. You upload the files, then files will be available at link, which link you can share. Files will cancel if you move away from this page before they complete. Uploaded files can be deleted manually anytime. I don't know what that. I'm trying to reset my password. Let's just not having it. That's not happening at all. Might be easier, mate, if you just like. Do you have an Instagram or anything that you can post to, or anything that I can look at, like sharing it on something you have? Alright, mate. I'll have a look. I called it a night, but I'll try and sort out my Instagram. And I'll have a look at those pictures. Hopefully, I can find out. It's linked to an email account that I have no idea what it is. But I'll try and figure it out. Yeah, I'll try and figure out where it's from. I'm sure I can work it out. But I'll have a look at that, and then next time I'm live, I'll give you a bit of. If you're here, I'll post a little thing on my channel saying I'm live, or if not, I'll just message you on Instagram what I think. Give you a bit of feedback. We can just take it, whatever. Give you a bit of advice and whatever. You might be really good, might be better than me. Maybe I could learn something. But yeah, I'm going to call it a night. It's 8:30. I've got things to do. So thank you for joining me, mate. And appreciate the chat. It's been good. Thanks, mate. Yeah, my next stream will probably be I don't know, sometime next week, midweek, maybe Wednesday or something. Depending on what's going on, but keep it up. It takes time. It does, but if you want to do it, you can do it.